listen, we talk about this idea of confidence. Confidence is very important. And the reality is, a lot of times you're putting in a lot of work. You know, like imagine you're putting in a lot of work. You're someone who's listening to me, listening to a podcast like this. You probably got trainers, you got your diet on point, training, visualizing, and you feeling confident when you train, but when it's time to perform, when it's actually time to do what you've been training to do, you're not doing it as well as when you do when you're training. Now, you and I both know, but nobody actually gives a fuck what it looks like when you're training. What we look for is what happens when it's time to perform, when it's game day, when your competition shows up, when the fans show up, when your coaches are there, when the evaluators are there, when the media is there. That's when it actually matters. But the problem is you're not able to compete at the level that you usually are. But nobody cares about usually. As a football player, we train all week, all summer. And guess what? It's one game a week. Nobody gives a fuck what you was doing on Wednesday morning. What are you doing on Sunday afternoon? That's what matters. Nobody cares how much weight you lifted. Your defender doesn't care how much weight you lifted. All that matters is whatever strength you bring to that collision. Do you understand? So I want you to be able to understand why you are less confident when it's time to perform on a big stage. Why are you less confident? And I want to break down 3 major reasons why you're less confident. All right? I want to break 3 of them down, and I want to show you that you can actually do something about each and every one of these 3 things. And I want to show you more specifically what you can do. All right? First reason you're less confident when it's time to perform. Your training. All right? Your training is weak and has no pressure involved. So that's the first problem, your training. Think about how you train right now. That's part of the problem of why you're not as confident when it's time to perform. And I'll explain more as we go on. Number 2, your experience. You lack it. You don't have enough experience. Now, a lot of people think, oh, well, I can't do nothing about experience. I'm young. No, you can do something about it, and I'll show you. But that's why you're not as confident. You lack experience. And third, mental control. You lack the ability to manage the emotions that come along with it. Your mindset's weak. Mentally, you're weak. You don't know how to manage your self-talk. You feel all good when it's time to practice. When it comes time to perform, you got a whole bunch of shit going on in your mind. You don't know how to manage it. You're all over the place. So 3 things. Your training's weak, you lack experience, and you lack mental control. And you can do something about each and every one. I'm going to show you exactly how, all right? Let's talk about training. Like I mentioned, your training's weak. So for you, you're showing up and you're working out, but you're working out. There's no pressure involved with it. And let me let you know how I know there's no pressure. When you show up, you don't feel no type of nervous. You feeling good and you laughing and shit. You doing things in comfort is your goal. You doing training shit on your own or with your trainer. There's no pressure involved. What you need to do is you need to train under more pressure. Your training needs to be just as hard, if not more hard, than the game. It needs to be really extreme. Now, again, this is not a natural thing you're just going to do. It actually goes against a lot of your intuition. I promise you. It feels really weird. All the times in my life when I actually was training at the level I know I needed to train at, it felt really awkward and it required some external pushes because it's going to feel like, no, this is too much. This is OD. This is too much I'm doing right now, but it's not. You need to train under more pressure. Let me give you some very practical ways you can increase the amount of pressure that you put onto your training. Number 1, and this is real obvious. Let's say you are someone who trains on your own, etc. You need to be timing things. You need to be keeping track of what you're doing and how long it's taking you and how much weight you're pushing, all of that thing. You need to be putting time restraints on things. That's going to activate that competitive drive within you. That's how you know that there's pressure involved. That's a real simple way, but that can't be it. But that's an easy win. The other thing is include another competitor in your training so you can make things a competition. I'll give you a really practical example. If you're a soccer player and you claim you want to dominate and you're going home right after practice, you're not about to dominate shit. You need to be training after practice. Every stage I was in, whoever it was that was the alpha or the dominant athlete, the one who went on past whatever year we were playing that went on to the next level, they always were the ones after practice doing more. And they were honestly showing up before as well. But include another competitor so you can make it a competition. So let's say you're a soccer player. Let's say you're a forward, you're a striker, right? and you say you want to dominate. Well, after practice, do sprints. And do sprints with another person on the team who also wants to get better. And time the sprints, race the sprints. Let's say best out of 7. Whoever wins is done. Whoever loses has to do 3 more. We're talking something as simple as that can activate the competitive desire, that can get that little knot in your stomach. You know that knot in your stomach? I used to feel that I remember in high school, I ran track in high school, and we had our hard day. I think it was Tuesday was our long, like it was our hard day. That's when we did longer shit, 400s, all of that. And that was not my jam. And I was a sprinter. So I was not trying to do no 400s, even a bunch of 200s. I'm not with that. And on Tuesdays was the hard day. And I remember at lunch, we'd be with my friends and shit. We'd be like, yo, well, you ain't hungry? Nah, bro, my stomach hurt. I was already thinking about what was going to happen after school on Tuesday. That's pressure, man. When you're thinking about it, like, yo, man, this shit is going to be tough. Man, let's say you're a fighter, you're a Muay Thai fighter, you're a boxer. You got to have somebody where you competing up against them. Somebody who makes you scared a little bit, gives you some anxiety a little bit. If you're not dealing with that anxiety right now, what's going to happen when you go up against that competitor and it's time to fight? You're not a demigod. You're not just going to show up confident for no reason. You got to earn that shit. You got to earn it by training under pressure. So keep track of your timing. Even things as simple as stretching, right? You can quantify how long you can keep a stretch. 3 minutes today, 3 minutes, 10 seconds the next week, etc. Write out all your training and find ways to qualify your training. This adds more pressure. You want to win. You want to best yourself. You want to keep doing better. Pressure, 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 pressure. Find ways to increase the pressure. And I'm telling you, it is not intuitive. You are going to want to naturally find ways to lessen the pressure, to make things more comfortable. But if you can find a way to train yourself to enjoy putting more on yourself before you have to, you're going to be more comfortable once it's time to do your thing. Once it's time to perform, you're like, yo, I done already dealt with so much shit. I done already put myself through so much shit. This is not that hard. That's how you want it. So that's how you can maximize your training to be more confident. Let's talk about the experience portion, right? Because a lack of experience is also why you're just naturally less confident when it's time to perform. Most people think they can't get this experience. Yes, you can. Number 1, watch more film. Be a student of the game. Talk to more OGs. If you don't have OGs around you, older people who have already accomplished what it is that you've done or are trying to do, then you're wasting time. You can make up for the lack of experience. Not completely, of course, but you can close the gap. What would happen if you read more books, if you studied more? You can close the gap. You can increase the amount of experience you have. We always call it doing mental reps when you're on the sideline. Are you watching the position that you play? And you're going through it as if you're in the game. That's how you can close that gap on the experience. And then last thing, mental control. You can do something about that. You can approach your mental training the same way you approach the physical. What would happen if you do that? When I ask athletes, what do you do for mental training? Listen to a few podcasts. That's not enough. Not today. Not now. That's not enough. You need a mental training program. You need to get a plan. You need to engage daily. You need to evaluate yourself. You need to train yourself mentally the same way you do physically. And you can, again, close that gap as well. What would happen if you did that? Took your training to the next level. Close the gap on your experience. Actually put a game plan in place to master the mental game. Think about where you could be in your sport. Think about what you could accomplish by the end of this year. Think about what you could accomplish by the end of this season that you're in. Think about what your coaches will be saying about you if you mastered that shit. That's what I can show you how to do. That's what it's mastery. Taking advantage of every possible edge you have at your disposal and making sure it works to your advantage. So listen, if you're interested in learning more, go to imnotyou.com/KI, and I look forward to meeting you. All right. Listen, performing when it matters, that's what matters. Remember that. All of these things that you do are so that you can perform when it matters. And if you can find a way to love those things that you have to do and love and enjoy that process, you then put yourself in a position where you can succeed more often than not. If you're succeeding more often than not, and you're succeeding a lot more than you're losing, that's what we call dominating. You could do that, but it's going to require you to approach it in a very systematic way. It's too easy to be average. So if what you're doing right now is easy and convenient, you're average. You got to put yourself in a position where you're doing all that it takes to accomplish at a high level. And the feeling that you get when you're doing that, that's the confidence. And you'll know beforehand. You don't want to wait till you perform to see if you're going to be confident. You'll know leading up, I got this shit. We all know that, when you prepare for that test and you go over the test over and over and over, let's say you in a math class in high school, right? You're the one who shows up with your little Starbucks coffee chilling on test day while all your friends is running around, bags under their eyes, like studying little flashcards 10 minutes before the test. Nah, it's too late, man. It's too late. You should have been locked in beforehand. So go to imnotyou.com/KI. I'll show you how to master the mental game and be confident when it's time to perform on a big stage. See you on the next episode.